Kudos to Todd McFarlane and Image Comics on a job well done. Spawn 300 is a fitting tribute to the character and creator that launched a comic industry revolution. Spawn 300 is here, and I gotta be honest, this is a fantastic comic book. Todd McFarlane assembled an all-star team of artists, including himself, veteran Spawn artist Greg Capullo, as well as J. Scott Campbell and guest writer Scott Snyder. Spawn has always been known for its gritty and oftentimes grotesque visuals, and this comic book does not disappoint. McFarlane has improved by leaps and bounds as a writer over the years, and the script is great as well. But let's be honest, most people who haven't been reading Spawn are here for the graphics. The Milestone issue has an array of fantastic variant covers. I myself picked up the amazing J. Scott Campbell version variant, and it really makes you wish he wasn't pigeonholed as a pin-up cover artist. Spawn standing on a podium with a beautiful stained glass window in the background is an amazing visual, and I'm extremely happy with my choice. Friend of the channel and comic industry retail expert on comics aficionados, Pele, ordered 100 of these variant covers, and they sold out in a matter of days. In fact, he ordered 250 copies of Spawn 300 in total and only had 15 or so left on Saturday. Demand for this Milestone issue was extremely high, despite the $8 cover price. I'll be surprised if Spawn 300 didn't break the 125,000 issues shipped threshold. And it received a rush second printing scheduled to arrive at the same time as the record-breaking issue 301. This is a thick comic separated into 5 chapters with Capullo, McFarlane, Campbell, and current Spawn artist Jerome Opeña, and JASON SHAWN ALEXANDER drawing 1 chapter each. It is extremely well constructed, and all the artists do an amazing job. One of the chapters is far less interesting than the rest as far as the story goes. Otherwise, this would be a perfect 5-star book. As is, the art is easily 5 out of 5, and the writing is 4.5 out of 5. I score this comic 4.5 out of 5 overall, which is extremely difficult for an 80-page comic book with 5 very distinct artists. This comic is without a shadow of a doubt worth every penny of its $8 cover price. Now, this is a huge book, and if I tried to break it all down, this would be a marathon review. I'm going to briefly cover a few big items I liked and talk about the art a bit. I'm just going to provide some flavor for this amazing Milestone comic, because everyone needs to experience it for themselves. I will spoil a bit, but I promise I'm not spoiling everything. If you can't get enough of Spawn 300, my very good friends Ash on Comics and Sergeant Bats both did comprehensive reviews of the book. I'm going to add their vids to the end screens on the conclusion of my review and link their reviews in the video description. With that, let's get into the nitty-gritty of today's Spawn 300 comic book review. The first chapter is illustrated by the phenomenal Greg Capullo and starts off with the only laughs to be had, at least for me. I really got a good chuckle out of this dialogue between a rebellious teen and his girlfriend's uncle at a family reunion. After insulting the young man, telling him he can loan him a pair of his wife's earrings, the teen responds, "Why don't you go barbecue some more and buy another gun? I'm sure that'll make you feel more manly." The uncle responds, "Kid, you know squat. Just because you look at your cell phone all day, you think that makes you smart. Why don't you get a job instead?" It's great dialogue on McFarlane's part and feels like an honest portrayal of some of the issues dividing current America. Both men's arguments can be seen as correct, depending on your point of view. And they're both presented as jerks in their treatment of each other. You just don't see social commentary in comics these days that doesn't take a definitive side one way or the other. It was quite refreshing from my vantage point. If you're thinking Capullo's wonderful gothic stylings are being wasted here, you're absolutely wrong. This family reunion most definitely goes sideways before Spawn enters the fray and we receive an answer to a question years in the making. Spawn is lured into a trap with a familiar looking foe. He chains Spawn to the floor and lets him know he's the one who murdered his wife Wanda. Spawn responds, "That's all I've been waiting to hear," and rips his heart out of his chest in an absolutely metal sequence from Greg Capullo. Regrettably, for Spawn at least, this appears to have little effect on the murderous demon who slayed his beloved wife Wanda. The first chapter is premier work on the part of McFarlane and Capullo, and I have to add, color artist FCO Placencia does a great job making the transition between Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 absolutely seamless. The second chapter features the first interior art from the Todd father in over a decade, and guest writer Scott Snyder. I gotta give Snyder kudos here. His dialogue and narration are fantastic. His feel for Spawn and the setting is spot on. I hope he works on more horror books in the future. It really highlights his ability to build tensions with narration. This is probably my favorite chapter of the comic, but it's really close between this and Chapter 1. McFarlane hasn't missed a beat as an artist, in my opinion. His depiction of Violator destroying Spawn is fantastically gruesome and sports a tremendous amount of detail. The villains think they finally disposed of Al Simmons, but soon learn they likely made him even more powerful by stripping the Spawn symbiote. This is, without a shadow of a doubt, my favorite page in the entire comic. Al Simmons rises from the ashes and slowly reassembles his Spawn uniform. When he emerges from the dust, he sports the new look McFarlane's been talking about for months. It leaves a mark that this is a special comic, and the new look is brutal perfection. From the spikes he jabbed through his forearms to the barbed wire wrapped around his biceps, everything about this image oozes equal parts Todd McFarlane and cool. A new age of Spawn is indeed emerging. Like I said before, FCO Placencia really makes Capullo and McFarlane's art sing, and the first two chapters marry together perfectly. The third chapter is illustrated by Scott Campbell, and it's dramatically different than McFarlane and Capullo, but fantastic nevertheless. Scott's line art is smooth as silk, and his use of silhouettes is very well executed. It's hard to follow up the two greatest Spawn artists of all times, but as far as I'm concerned, Campbell's depiction of the conflict between Spawn and Redeemer is first rate. Now, I'm not sure Campbell's a natural horror artist, but this man on one of the upcoming X-Men books would put sales through the stratosphere. The conflict between Spawn and Redeemer is really cool. Al keeps calling him Eddie, reminding him that they used to be friends. He tells him he must pick a side and implores for him to kill him if he thinks his side is correct. The end result of this confrontation is spectacular, and not what I expected in the least. This is definitely one of the storylines that I can't wait to see where it goes in the future. I can see how some people may say that Campbell wasn't the right artist for this comic book, but I personally couldn't disagree more. He does excellent work, and I hope he does more interior art in the future. One of the reasons current comic art is so depressed is many great artists like J. Scott and Alex Ross are priced into being cover artists for the most part. Chapter 4 features JASON SHAWN ALEXANDER, the current Spawn artist, and is the weakest in my opinion. The visuals are really good. Alexander brings his A-game. I personally love his art on Spawn, but the story is lacking a bit. It begins with Spawn's human counterpart Mark realizing he's trapped before the story follows one of Spawn's reanimated corpses. There's actually a fairly big reveal to end this chapter, but everything else around it makes it feel small in comparison. I really hope JASON SHAWN ALEXANDER gets a meteor story to illustrate on the record-breaking issue 301. Last but certainly not least is Chapter 5, illustrated by the Philippines' own Jerome Opeña. He gets a pretty awesome side story to finish up the comic. Jessica Priest goes to check on Nynx to see if she's doing okay during the current insanity spreading worldwide. She discovers her friend in a pool of blood. As one of her last acts, Nynx points Jessica to a treasure trove of Spawn information and artifacts, including a book with an amulet that appears to hold magical powers of resurrection. Jessica bites off far more than she could have ever imagined when she tries resurrecting her friend. She's infused with Al Simmons' full experience as Spawn, emerging herself as the new She-Spawn. This is a huge reveal and adds another ally to Spawn's side for his impending battle with the combined might of heaven and hell. She-Spawn sports a fantastic look and metal motorcycle to boot. She wields a Liefeld-esque, ridiculous machine gun that appears to house 4 magazine casings and at least 2 gun barrels. Fantastic reveal to end the issue and prepare readers for the record-breaking Spawn number 301. Speaking of issue 301, it arrives on 2 October and officially breaks Dave Simmons' Cerebrus record for longest-running creator-owned comic series of all times. McFarlane recently announced Scott Campbell is creating another special cover for this issue, not surprising following the response to his Spawn 300 cover. Campbell will not be part of the creative team on 301, but my personal favorite artist in the entire industry, Clayton Crain, is. I can't wait to see what he brings to the table. Crane's digital comic art is peerless, and his previous work on Spawn, as well as Carnage and Ghost Rider, are fantastic. He's also providing a special cover for issue 301, and I for one hope that it's not priced up like usual. I will most definitely be reviewing Spawn 301 on the channel as well. Spawn 300 is the very best Milestone issue the comic industry has produced in quite some time. Todd McFarlane, Greg Capullo, Scott Snyder, Scott Campbell, JASON SHAWN ALEXANDER, and Jerome Opeña have set a very high bar for these types of collaborative efforts moving forward. As special as Action Comics and Detective Comics 1000 felt, their overall quality honestly didn't touch Spawn 300. It's that good. The management team behind Marvel Comics 1000 need to read this comic and learn how to provide quality for money in the future. Like I said at the beginning, this comic is 4.5 out of 5 overall and receives my highest recommendation. You aren't going to find an 80-page comic featuring 5 distinctive artists with this level of quality anywhere on the market. If you can't stomach gore, you will need to pass on Spawn 300. It's pretty graphic at points, but horror lovers will be in comics nirvana this entire comic book. Kudos to Todd McFarlane and Image Comics on a job well done. Spawn 300 is a fitting tribute to the character and creator that launched a comic industry revolution. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.